It's another edition of Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine. I'm Joe Reed. Stephen Cummings is with me. He's with me for the week, and he's a new contributor to the podcast. So, what are we going to talk about today,
Hi,
Stephen?
Joe. So today we're going to talk about a book called The Favorites, and it's an audiobook by Layne Fargo. Now, this is a big cast. Among the highlights of this cast include Christine Lakin, Suzanne Torin, and Graham Halstead.
And tell me about the book. It's an earphones winner, so hooray.
This is one of those books that gets advertised with a phrase. If you love Daisy Jones and the Six, you'll like this. And I think the reason they do that is because there's a similar structure. So if you're familiar with Daisy Jones, you know it's an interview style book. It's a mockumentary, it's a kind of oral history. An interviewer is asking the main characters questions and the narrative unfolds like that. And so this book is very much like that. Now, I will say, big fan of Daisy Jones. I'm a really big fan of this audiobook. I found myself making all kinds of excuses to just keep listening, sitting in the car or taking the long way to work, for example.
Well, that's always good. So, tell me what it's about.
Absolutely. So the story centers around Katarine Shaw, and she is a competitive pairs skater. But she doesn't come from a background with a lot of those basic advantages. And by advantages, I mean wealth. She's really coming from a little bit of nothing. And she has an early connection with her skating partner, Heath. They are unstoppable together until something shocking does happen, as you can imagine with stories like these. And it happens at the Olympics. I won't reveal any of those details, but just know that the audiobook is taking you there. And then you hear sort of this unauthorized, they call it an unauthorized documentary of what happened to the Paris skater. It's a big cast, a lot on display.
So it's put together as kind of a documentary, or part of it is like, now here's the story of what happened at the Olympics.
So what happens is that you have this sort of person in the background developing this so-called unauthorized documentary. And so the interviews that make
Ah,
up the
got it.
audiobook capture that. And that's what makes this audiobook production so special because you really do feel like this is a thing that is happening. I mean, I absolutely just found that just very compelling and couldn't take my ears off, as you say. But like I said, big cast, a lot on display. I'll just note a few performances. Christine Lakin does essentially the lion's share of this. She's one of the key competitive skaters in this story, and her voice, this performance captures this combination of being both young. We're talking young athletes. And also with a need to connect to someone. So she's got kind of a messy background, as you can imagine. Suzanne Torin, who is also an audiophile golden voice. She performs the experienced skating judge. If you're familiar
Mm.
with skating, and you don't have to be a big fan to enjoy this book, by the way,
Oh, I am, though. I really am. I
well,
love
then you're
figure
going to
skating.
love this because you have a judge who's very beholden to the traditions of the skating world, and you can hear that tension in her
Mhm.
performance. So there's a lot of subtle notes there. Graham Halstead is here. He's also a winner of the Earphones Award, and he's a former skater with some pretty deep insights and is interviewed along the way. It gives you some background. And I will note this very quickly. In a nice casting twist, Johnny Weir, who is an actual competitive skater,
Indeed.
appears in this book as well. And you'll be surprised to know that he performs a gossip blogger. And so,
Oh my god, that sounds perfect, actually.
so it just highlights it makes the book even that much more entertaining.
I really admire Christine Lakin's work a lot. I mean, she narrated, I remember Kevin Powers' A Line in the
Mm.
Sand, and Graham Halstead narrates this great series, the Brittany Mystery
Hmm.
Series. It's France, and the last one was Death of a Master Chef. So you got your food, you got
Oh.
France, you have murder. It's
Oh,
fabulous.
I'm there. I'll get it.
We have a clip. Who are you going to hear from?
This is going to be a clip early on, and this is Christine in her role as the one of the competitive skaters. And what you're going to hear is how this sort of concerning but also powerful relationship she has with her skating partner unfolds early on.
Okay. This is The Favorites by Layne Fargo, and it's read by a multicast, and we're going to be hearing from Christine Lakin.
Once I was satisfied, I handed him the knife. Heath stood up on his knees, and I stretched out in the warm spot he'd left on the bed, watching him. The way his black hair shone in the moonlight, the press of his teeth on his lower lip as he concentrated. making his first mark with the tip of the blade. He was more precise than I had been, drawing curved, graceful lines underneath my savage slashes. Shah and Rocha, the carving read when he finished. It was the way our names would be written on the scoreboard at our first U.S. figure skating championships in a few days' time. The way they'd be announced in medal ceremonies and reported in newspapers and entered in the record books. We'd cut the letters into the center of my antique rosewood headboard, deep enough that no amount of sanding could remove them. We were 16, and so sure of everything.
16 and so sure of everything.
Oh,
How
I don't think
true,
anybody
how
can relate.
true.
That's not true. I can certainly relate.
And so well delivered. I mean, Christine is such a nuanced narrator, I think. And you're right about your comment about that youthfulness in her voice. It's really kind of perfect for this.
Oh, she does capture it so well, and it makes it even much more compelling along the way. So again, it just for me, this just was an entertaining book, front to back, wonderful listen.
That is The Favorites by Layne Fargo. It's read by a multicast, including Christine Lakin, Suzanne Toran, and Graham Holstead. Well, excellent. This is definitely going to jump to the top of my list.
Wonderful, great to hear it. Let me know what you think.
I will, definitely. Thank you, Stephen. I will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Joe.
Dreamscape is the publisher of today's episode of Behind the Mic. Dreamscape publishes audiobooks from authors like Frida McFadden, Kirsten Proby, and Stasia Stark. Explore their full catalog at dreamscapepublishing.com. Don't forget to stop by audiofilemagazine.com, where you can find hundreds of reviews, as well as interviews and articles about authors and narrators, and videos of some of your favorite narrators discussing the books they perform. That's at audiofilemagazine.com. I'm Jo Reed, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.